All right, welcome back to Judging Bouncing Balls. We've got a great show for you tonight. Toby, how you doing?
Oh, we're good. Real good. Big week. Big week in the Brostow house. My daughter turned 19 today, which made me a little older, and I jumped into a new category. Big 50. 50. Told somebody
And
yesterday.
not the police.
Not the police. I feel 60, look 55, and I'm only 50.
Boom. Winning at every category.
Oh, man. What am I doing?
You must be doing something right.
I'm like 22 at heart, right? Like I still laugh at stupid jokes and still do say stupid things, but yeah, what are you going to do? Here you are. And one of my daughters asked me, she's like, how do you feel to be halfway through life? And I'm like, ooh, I think I passed that a while back.
Hey, you're going to go to 100. That's excellent.
That's what I said. If I get to 100, we better keep working. It seems to be expensive when you're older.
The only people making it to 100 in our household is Sarah. Well, maybe our kids. I'm not making it there.
No. I ran her good early on in life. I think the good Lord is going to shut me down at one point. Said I had too much fun. That's all right. That's why I did it.
Hey, that's okay. Well, good. Well, happy belated birthday to you and Macy. I will admit I saw it on Facebook today that it was yesterday, and I felt terrible, but I didn't even realize it was Macy's today. So that shows you how much.
No, Macy's was May 2nd. I was today in my old. Yeah, Allie was 19 today. So
Allie, my bad.
2/14/19. Yeah, we all Mays.
Wow.
Yeah.
Toby at 100, with no filter. That would be a good podcast.
Right. Oh, we would be afraid of nothing at that point.
You can't cancel me.
Still haven't made a dime.
Episode like 3,000.
Right.
Just chugging along.
Just talking about high school sports. These damn kids.
And their hoverboards and poofy jackets.
Yeah.
It's totally happening.
Yeah. But big week of high school sports. Congratulations to quick show. Bayport lacrosse went on to win the conference title last night, beating East De Pere.
Nice. That's awesome.
So with their first WIA season, they can hang a banner, which is exciting.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And we had the opportunity of hosting Stevens Point on Saturday. That was fun.
You did. Yeah, you kicked our tails. That is for sure.
Well,
Macy had a great goal.
Macy did have a nice goal. Amelia had 2 breakaways too. Our goalie's really good at not caring about much besides stopping the ball. Amelia did get through. She was quick, and there was some oohs in our audience because they're like, and I'm like, yeah, she's coming to Bayport. So I might have made some promises. To be honest.
She's going to come under the new name of Schmelia Stasselberg.
Yeah. We just happened to adopt a child from somewhere west. Doesn't matter.
Give her a Russian accent. Ship her in.
Right?
It'd be good.
But Meals is having a great year. Scoring, playing.
Yeah. Been a fun year. It's, I think every team has something they can kind of hang their hat on, which is good. And it was, we made some progress for sure, but we are not in the ilks of the Bayports and those worlds yet. I mean, we've got a long ways to go. So, but yeah, it was really fun to play and see Bayport in action and see the campus. Never been on the campus.
Right.
Very nice.
Right.
And you know what's funny? My who was it? I think it was my uncle came over or Sarah's uncle, sorry. And he said, this is almost like a university. And I said, yes, it is.
It's called the U for a reason. Just look at the backs of every person here. They're all broken from tax dollars.
Hey, but you got a nice school.
We do. It is an impressive school. But it's funny. I posted the picture of us on our Facebook page of I'm all in blue and you're all in red. I'm like, I think we're into this.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. You know, when I saw the picture, I saw the stark contrast, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny!" Because we both live in our schools. That is for
Right?
sure.
Even down to the shoes.
Yes, I loved it. It was good stuff.
Yeah,
I think Jamie made fun of us, but that's okay. That's what kind of her job is as resident club mom. So
haters gonna hate. You know what I'm saying.
that's right.
But
They hate us because they ain't us.
they hate us. Yeah, right. I mean, we look good. We look good. And then I did go home and do 7 yards of mulch, which if you'd have taken said picture on Sunday, I would have been bent over like this crying because that's not a profession that I would ever get into, mulching.
7 yards?
Yeah.
Wow. That's
wow. So I went to, I called for 5 and the lady's like, if you order 7, free delivery. And I'm like, well, how much is 7? She's told me, and I'm like, well, how much is delivery? She's like, it's $50. And I'm like, well, let's go with 7. And then it shows up, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, who needs the free $50?
Wow. That's a lot of mulch.
Yeah, it was. But I got it done.
And I bet your house looks amazing. I bet you Jackie's happy.
She helped on Saturday. The kids nowhere to be found.
Matt, isn't that amazing?
She did help, yeah. And then Sunday I took the reins. She had something to do, so I finished up on my pace, which was a little slower on Sunday with the amount of acetaminophen running through my veins.
Hey, here's a quick parenting tip for you, you out there. If you want a little alone time with your spouse, just ask the kids to do a chore, and the house magically goes quiet and clear. It's unreal. All you got to do is, hey, we need the dishes done. Kids are gone, quiet. Never see them again. It's unreal.
Or if I go stand on the side of my garage, there's no windows. I can stand there and catch my breath and throw up in my mouth and pray to God that I die painlessly, and then I get back to work.
There you go. That too.
Yeah. But we played last night in the big FRVC, Fox River Valley Conference. Bayport at 6-0 played East De Pere at 4-0-2, so they were 2 points behind. If we lose, it gives them a tie, and we ended up taking. Got down 1-0, and they came roaring back to 4-2. They got a late goal.
Nice,
but I got to give a shout out. I think our goalie, which my wife nicknamed Scoops, Maggie Gannon. If you're not voting for Maggie Gannon for goalie of the year in the conference, I think there's something wrong with you. She's playing phenomenal, as you saw, right? Not afraid to throw her body at things. So
that is true.
Yes, she did mention the podcast after the game to me last night. So I said she's getting a shout out. That's a good thing for people out there. Mention us in your everyday lives. Boom.
You get the bump.
Right, but she played great. I mean, she's a senior. She's a downhill skier.
Really?
She's not like a club soccer player. She's a phenomenal downhill skier, and which is crazy to me because that's a really neat thing to do. But yeah, and then she laces them up for high school soccer. So I think she's going to Madison to further her education, which is good for her.
Good for her. I heard it's a good school.
I don't know. They never let me near it, so. Don't like talking good about people that don't like me.
That's right.
So that was exciting. We have a Schwabena tomorrow night, which they're struggling, I heard.
The Jaguars.
Yeah. We have 3 games left all at home. That is nice.
That is nice. I did see that when I was looking at your schedule right before we came over. I'm like, man, you guys got a lot of home games coming up here, which is good for you guys.
Yeah, we hit the road early, a lot of travel, but that paid off. So what about you?
We did not play last night, so we had our first Tuesday off in probably 2 months. I don't know, it's been a long time, or maybe not quite 2 months, but it's the first time we hadn't had a game early in the week. Let's put it that way. So and then we play not Kimberly. Oh God, no. We play DC. No, we have DC Everest tomorrow. So that's a really big game for us. They are leading our conference. They are 11-2-2, and they're 6-0-1, I think, in our conference. No, they're 5-0-1 in our conference. So, yeah, that's a big game for us. It's a kind of a revenge game. If we want to prove ourselves, we got to beat the best, and they are the best. They have been the best in our conference for a number of years. So we gotta come out and play hard. And unfortunately, we are down two of our best players, which really stinks. So we're kind of up against it, but hey, that's why you gotta have girls step up.
How was your goalie? She was it your?
She has a broken nose, and she now has a face guard because she got popped in the nose pretty good. But yeah, she will be playing, but she has a broken nose.
That's gutsy.
Bayport.
Right? Well, get out of the way. Trains are coming.
Yes.
No, she did take a shot. There was blood.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot of blood. She's good though. She's a tough player. She came back in with a nose plug and played the rest of the game. But yeah, she's in good shape. She's in good spirits about it. She calls herself the transparent owl now, and so she's getting back into it because she's got this big clear face mask that goes over. So she's all ready for tomorrow. It's gonna be fun.
Good. Paul just said the seedings come out Sunday. I didn't know they were coming out this soon. Postseason season.
Yes, they do. Seedings. They come. Yes, and Paul, I believe she will be playing. It's been interesting this year. I have watched some of the games that they have played, and Jenna Bauman has played in some of them. She did not play against us the first game. I think she was still coming back from something else, but she has been playing. But I think they've been holding her back for maybe because of going to Madison, maybe for other reasons. I will say this: the times that I've seen her play, very electric player. She's very good, and she's definitely somebody that you're going to want to be aware of when she's on the pitch. So yeah, I expect her to play, but I don't know for sure that she is or isn't.
Yeah, I don't. That's a good point on that, because there's some local players here that are playing D1, and one plays for Pulaski, and there's on the had a knee injury, and the question, I think it came up: does she play? Does she not play? And I know it's there to play, but what is the line where the future is greater than the now? Especially when there's money. Yeah, right? If you're getting money to go to college.
Right. If I'm her, I mean, don't get me wrong. You want to play for your school and you want to have a success. But if you felt like, I'm not trying to say that they can't, but if I'm her, you might say, well, man, we're probably not winning state this year. So do I really want to go all out? Because it's realistically going to be Arrowhead, Muskego, Kimberly, Bayport. It's going to be somebody, not them. And so it's like, well, do you really go all out when there really isn't the state title on the line? And I don't know. She's a hell of a competitor, so I'm not saying she wouldn't compete, but I got to believe some of those things start to enter in your mind. It's like, well, okay, you start moving on to the next thing because that's going to be whatever it is. That being said, I expect her to play. I expect her to play really well. She's very, very talented, very good. So who knows?
Yeah.
I just know she didn't play our first meeting. So
afraid.
No.
But you wonder how you feel about that if it's your own kid and what's on the line, and you're like, listen, we're 4-4, whatever, whatever your record is, you're not going far. But then again, you want to play with your friends and finish out. I get it, but it's because high school or college, I heard, fires up in July. So
that wouldn't surprise me.
2 months away from going full out. So
correct.
Yeah, I just, and it's an individual. There's no book on it. It's an individual thing, and you do what you want, what you feel is right.
Correct. And I just put myself, if I were her dad and that was Amelia, and Amelia was coming off an ACL, please God, never let that happen. But let's just say it was happening and it happened at the same time frame. I would totally understand kind of I don't want to say coasting, it's not the right word, but taking it easier through your senior season because you had bigger things in the horizon that you had to accomplish, right? And so
Right.
I wouldn't look down on anybody at all if they decided that. And I'm not saying she is, but in that scenario, if it happened, I would totally understand it, because you're right. There's money on the line. There's bigger things on the line that you potentially have to worry about. As much as you love your team and your school, there's potentially things that affect that. So,
Right. And there's only a few teams where it comes into play that they're actually a state qualifying team that can run at it. Like we played
right.
Last year when we made state. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but Bayport made a hell of a run, made it state. It was pretty neat. A lot of fun.
When was that?
It was 2023. My
okay.
memory's cloudy. It was 72 degrees, sunny.
You are
beautiful.
You are 50 now.
Right. That was last decade or whatever.
Yeah.
But if your team actually has a shot at winning, let's just take Kimberly, right? One of their top players, and she's on the verge of, I know Senna's one of from our club and going to GB, and really good future ahead for soccer. And if you're tweaked and you're hurt, is it, but you still have a shot at state, does that make it more like pressing to play? Because I think the team looks at you differently, right? Like all of a sudden you're like, my knee doesn't feel right, but I'm going to sit out. I think everybody's like, well, I don't know if that's a good idea. Versus if you're 4-4 and out of the playoffs, where everybody's like, well, I get it. So I think the circumstances
totally
drive that.
Agreed. Yeah.
If it affects my kid, then I'm going to be mad at you.
For sure.
For
furious. So anyways, I always hope that the best players are playing. So I hope she plays. I hope she's good. I hope her knee's good. I mean, in the end, it looks good if she's on the field and then she goes down and does really well at Madison, right? It looks good for our conference.
Right. And that's what it's about.
So
the future of everybody else.
Correct. So I'm rooting for her as long as she's not playing Spash. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, I'm rooting against her for tomorrow night. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, well, tomorrow night I'm rooting against her too. So yeah.
So that's about it on the exciting world of high school sports in our area. I know there's other games out there that nobody texted us or Facebooked us on to talk about, so I don't know how anybody else did. Didn't look. Only look at two teams.
I didn't look either. I do need to say this though. Paul Adamski deserves a big shout out. He came and shot our game, the Bayport Kimberly, or geez, I keep saying Kimberly, Bayport Spash game. And that was much appreciated. I thought he's just such a great photographer. I appreciate him. And he's a loyal friend of the show, so he's got to get a shout out for sure.
Did you see the photos? Because they are pretty good.
They are really, really good. He's always good.
Yeah, it's hard to critique because I'd love to find something wrong, but there's nothing to find. It's just pretty good at what he does. Dan, did you see his footwork? The ball came by him like 3 times. Dead stop. Like, nice. Boop. Yeah, I think he's been training at Mac Rock.
He's no joke.
No joke.
It probably is.
So, right.
That's awesome.
So I did throw some topics up on the book.
Yes.
Some things I've been following. I know we discussed a few before the show. We'll start with the first one. Like we talked high school sports. Pickleball was off this week. We have a banquet this weekend, which yours truly is emceeing. So I give out the awards. So there's a lot of awards that have nothing to do with pickleball, more to do with, it's kind of a roast, but not as bad as the Brady roast. We don't.
Oh, the Brady one was so good.
Oh God, it was great. Wasn't it great? Like, I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but it is like, I would never want to be, it would be fun. Like, I'm very good at like taking heat because I love giving it, but my God, did they go after people? Just like the Rob Gronkowski took a beating, and he was big about it. So that was even better.
Yeah, it was good.
But so I did read a couple stories about athletic directors, and you're an athletic director. You're part of that
Assistant.
crowd. So assistant. So, but I do feel that you have an inside track to this. But what I found was at some schools, and I forget where, but the AD was starting to cause a lot of commotion about getting involved with coaches. So, and I think what's happening is parents are getting to the AD, and the AD is taking the parent side, and they're going to the coaches saying, "Hey, I think your lineup should change. I think your offense, your defense should change, whatever sport it is." And I guess I wanted your take on the AD's role in this situation. Like, how far should an AD go, or where should an AD stop? Is it better to have a hands-off AD, or is maybe a better hands-on AD?
Oof. I mean, I'm just going to give my personal perspective on this. I mean, I have not had conversations like this with our AD, but I think I could get a pretty good feeling of where he would come down on it. But my personal take on this is, you hire coaches for a reason, right? There's things you like about them. There's qualities, there's traits. You know, they're really good with the kids. They're good motivators. They're good tacticians, whatever it might be, right? There are all these things. So if you really like somebody as a coach, to me, I step back and I let them do their thing within their realm. I'm going to support them. I'm going to have their back. If they make decisions when it comes to personnel, I might listen to the parent, vent, and be frustrated. But in the end, I'm going to say, hey, that's the coach's decision. That's their realm. If there comes a point where I don't like the coach's decision, to me, that means that there's probably bigger issues with the program or with the coach. And I probably need to move on from that person anyway, not because the parent is wanting that. It's because there's a bigger issue that's of hand. So let's just say there's mismanagement of the team, right? This happens in high school sports where you get somebody maybe that's in over their head. They're not able to manage the team, or they're doing things that, are not ideal, right? Maybe they let the kid get away with something they should have. Maybe you're on a road trip and the kid vapes, and they let the kid, they don't discipline him, right? So there's some issue there. And if you have something along those lines, to me, that's when you'd step in and you'd make a change as a coach, but you wouldn't do it because the parent ratted on them. It's because there's a bigger issue at hand. To me, when you let the parents come in and dictate, and I've never seen this happen personally, but I've heard about it in some schools that we have connections with. I just think that's really unfortunate, because the second you break down and let the parents railroad a coach out of town, boy, you just opened the floodgates. That is going to happen all the time, because all it takes then is, I mean, I know some of these parents are squeaky wheels, right? If they get the chance and they find out that there's blood in the water and they can complain enough and get somebody gone, oh, that's going to happen all day. So I just don't like that personally. I don't like that mentality of like putting your coaches in that position where one disgruntled or a couple disgruntled parents can get them run out of town, because people get disgruntled over all kinds of crazy stuff. I mean, and some of it is maybe legitimate, but some of it is misguided, or maybe the kid didn't tell them all the story. They told them a little bit of the story. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of parents being able to run the asylum, but I think that's, if there's a problem where you're thinking about changing a coach, it's probably because there's already an issue there, and you just need to make that decision on your own without the parents.
Yeah.
No,
and the circumstances, I think, like I said, the parents had gotten, all of a sudden the AD's talking to the coach about, the lineup. And at that point, I think the coach, on the other hand, I think the coach can see the writing on the wall and be like, this is way beyond what I'm here to do. And maybe I need to excuse myself or move on from that situation also. I think they both should, but you can't. Then again, if the going gets tough every job, I think you'd be moving jobs every week, I'll take our soccer coach. I think we have a great soccer coach at Bayport. She does a hell of a job, and her record is phenomenal. She's made it to state, I forget, like 6 times in 15 years or some crazy number, and people don't like the offense. It's not our club offense, or people don't like our defense because it's not our club defense. But at the end of the day, she puts girls on the field in the right position, and they perform, Right. And I think if the school listened to every parent that came through the door and said, hey, your soccer coach isn't getting it done, well, you'd have no stability. Nobody want to come
Right.
and coach your high school. So I think I think there are there's different circumstances, but I just feel at times people always overreach. The old Mark Murphy with the Packers, right? He took control of football operations, fired McCarthy the next week, and they're all like, "Now what are we going to do?" And he's like, "I don't know. I felt we needed change." Well, change isn't always good.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. I think the other side of that too that bothers me is if you really want your coaches to have some say in their program, and if you're willing to just move on from a coach based on a few parents, all it takes then is a couple disgruntled kids to go and get their parents to go and so now you're not able to coach the kids and hold them accountable and have discipline within the program, because the second you try to do anything, it's like, oh, I'm just going to go get my parents to try to get you fired. And that just creates a really, I don't know. I don't think that creates a great situation. Even if the kids are really talented, it just doesn't create a great situation.
No,
I don't know. I don't like it.
No, but you see problems up and down, whether the top team in the state versus the worst team in the state. There's issues everywhere. I mean, it comes down to playing time, it comes down to who's scoring, it comes down to stats. You know, our kids going for all conference, is that resume builder. You know, I did in one of the coaches that I'm hoping to try to get on is the NMU women's coach. And that's one of my questions is, you know, does he even at the D2 level, does he look at high school stats? Does he look at awards? Does he look at like, what are people fighting for? Is it even on the radar of what we should be fighting for?
Yeah, I would venture stats are not something they probably look at, but I would venture that they do care about certain awards, like if you're all conference or if you're all state, or, you know, things along those lines where it's kind of outside of the realm of stats, because stats can be deceiving. I mean, I've told you this before. I'm like, obviously I'm proud of my kid and what she's done, but I'm fully aware of where some of those goals have come, and it doesn't necessarily come against always the top competition, because we're a team right now that's still trying to play mid-level teams. And so I respect more players that have against really tough competition, lesser goals, just because they've played against, you know, better teams. So I don't think they look at stats, because you just don't always know what you're competing against. If I'm an outside coach looking in at a player, I want to see certain plays, and then I'm more impressed with that than I am of total stat. But that would be just my take on it.
No, I think, and then you wonder your club versus, you know, the film is, they say they don't even want your film of you scoring, because everybody can score. Like there's 1,000 scorers. You know, they want the little things, the passes, the balls, the movement, you know. Or me, I just have one tape of my one goal from 7th grade, and I'd be like, this is the greatest goal ever. And it probably bounced off me and
you know, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I've only done a couple videos for Amelia, but the ones that I have done, I try not to make them all goals either. I try to make, you know, I try to help her find stuff that's, you know, off ball intelligence, or, you know, you're running, you know, effort play when you don't get the ball, or, you know, something along those lines. Because to me, I would want to see that if I was a coach. I want to see what happens when you don't get the ball, or what happens when you pass the ball. Like, do you see the pass, or do you not see the pass? So yeah, I can understand why, you know, you see some of these interviews with like Ariyama or whatever, and he says he'd come and watch the play. He'd watch the player he's scouting when they're not on the field or not on the court, right? He wants to see what they do when they're not in the limelight. How do they behave? That'd be stuff I'd be more interested in, just because, you know, they're good. If you're there sitting down watching them, they're probably pretty talented. It's just a matter of what are their intangibles.
Well, and I've told Macy, like, even down to the carry your bag, like carry your own bag. Like they say they watch that. Like, how do they deal with their parents? You know, maybe they don't see when I get in the car, and I give her great advice after the game, which she just soaks up, right?
Yeah.
Like, I know you ran for 70 minutes, but yeah, all me. But so I don't even know how we got on this topic, but there's a gazillion ways that these.
But anyways, back to the AD thing.
Yeah.
I mean, back to the AD thing. I just think that I don't like it when parents get involved to that level. But I'll say this one caveat. Money talks, right? And this is where I think some of these programs get into trouble, because if the right parent offers the right kind of thing, I think it could really influence the way that ADs look at it. And I'll give you an example right now. Kimberly, or let's say a town that's really established and they have all kinds of facilities. This may not be as big of a deal, but if you're looking at a town like, I'll just use Stevens Point, right? Because not saying this is happening, but if we wanted to try to figure out a way to raise money to build some facilities that we don't have, and a lot of people in our conference do, and we would love to have, I could understand why if somebody came in with a big check and they were like, hey, you want this check, so-and-so's got to go. Like, I'm not saying it should happen, but I understand it because that's hard money to generate, especially if we're talking like millions of dollars. And I get it, right? Because you could look at it and say, hey, this coach is, they're maybe not, they're not let's try to think of whoever the best coaches in their sport at basketball, whatever. Let's say you're like, hey, they're a mid-level coach. I can find a new one. Right. But I can't find another $1 million or 500,000 or whatever it is. So I get it. And I think that's where some of this stuff probably happens is you get boosters that have pull for that reason. And they can make decisions.
There's a rumor here in town that one of the schools I attended this was later on, but this was a couple years ago, but it was a 7-figure, $1 million check. And one of the coaches left and the school had $1 million. And like you said, it's hard to be like, well, we really think this coach is doing a great job. You're paying him $3,500 a year, right? I mean, it's you're going to find another coach, but when you're hanging out, when you got a check for, I mean, if somebody gave me $1 million and said, hey, you got to move one of your kids out, I'd be like, they're both going. Like, right, let's not pick one.
But I mean, let's use Steve Jones as an example, right? I'm trying to think of the highest level coach. Like Steve Jones is considered to be at the pinnacle of high school sports. And if you had Steve Jones, you're like, man, I can't move on from him because he is the best. But if you've got a guy that's in the middle or a gal that's in the middle and they're just they've had success, but they're not like really dominant, boy, you can move on from them pretty quick if you got a lot of money. I can understand why the loyalty wouldn't be there. And it doesn't make it right, but I get it. Because you're like, man, I can replace that person.
Besides football, name me a sport where even if you're at the top of your game, there's still like, it's golf, right? I mean, like, let's look at girls soccer, just because we're involved in this. You could be the Muskego coach who's had a run, or the Arrowhead who's now going to win. And is their job worth more than $1 million to the school? I don't think they're going to say no to the check.
Correct. Because the reality is they could probably find somebody for that job that would be able to replace them. I mean, that's probably pretty competent.
Right. And the amount of kids that are coming through your school from club teams that play soccer is very high. Football is different. I think Steve Jones brought a lot of kids to Kimberly that were very talented, and then he coached them to a lot of success. And those kids went on to play a big time football. And for that, there might have been a donor that says we're keeping them.
Right. It's true. So I don't know. I don't like it, but I can understand it in some circumstances. Doesn't mean I would want to do that, but man, I bet you some of these ADs get put in pretty tough spots.
Well, and I talked to Paul about this at their 2010 girls game. Their daughters played in the Marquette women's Division I Marquette women's soccer coach. He retired, was at their game. I think his son played or something in the area. But Paul said he was talking to him, and I've heard this, that parents were calling the AD above him about playing time. And I had talked to a Division III St. Norbert football coach back in the day. I'm like, well, at least you don't have to deal with parents. He's like, oh, no, it's just as bad. And I'm like, you're in college. And he's like,
that's wild.
Right. And this is Division I soccer. You're recruited. You're heavily recruited and given a $60,000 a year scholarship. And like, if my mom called and is like, hey, Toby's not playing, I'd be like, shut up. Like there's probably a reason why I'm not playing, right? Like they're saving me for the big games or something. But at the end of the day, like I can't imagine, like, let's just say Amelia or Macy makes it to a top level school and they're playing it. I'm like, 14 minutes in the first half. I think I'm going to say something, right? I'm going to make a phone call. Like, who does this?
Yeah, I can't imagine it, honestly. I can't. I don't think I've ever talked to a coach about playing time for any of my kids. No, I take that back. I did it once. Did it one time because I just thought it was so ridiculous. And I'll set the context for it. And if I'm wrong on this, I'm wrong. But it was volleyball for my youngest daughter. And it's a non-competitive league, like, right? It's an intro league, like they're supposed to be learning the game. And I'm not joking. I was so frustrated because we were there. Like, if you've ever gone to a volleyball tournament, it's literally like 10 straight hours. I think I told you this on the show. It's ridiculous. It's one of the most ridiculous youth sports things I've ever seen in my life. But you're there all day and you can't leave because when you're not playing, you're reffing. And when you're reffing, you're playing, right? You're always there. You literally can't leave. And I'm not joking. There was a game that she got in. And mind you, this is not competitive. For it wasn't even 5 minutes. It was 2 minutes. I looked at it on the clock. She was in the game for 2 minutes. And the game was like 45 minutes long. And I was like, okay, if we're trying to build players, this is ridiculous. I'm not saying she's the best because she's not. She's easily not the best. But if we're just trying to give equal playing time because they all suck, then she needs to get in the game. And it's kind of ridiculous that you're just sitting her there for no reason. She'd get put in and she'd go right back out. And it was just like, what the hell is going on? And meanwhile, girls are just cycling through and I'm like, what is going on here? So I did do it one time. So it is what it is.
Can I ask what you said? Did you start with I'm the greatest volleyball player this land's ever seen? No. Okay. All right. Interesting.
Not at all. All that was said was, it's like, as I understand it, this is a non-competitive league and we're trying to balance playing time as much as possible. I totally understand that it's not always going to be equal, but I felt like this was a little bit egregious to one side, like to the other side of not playing enough. And it's like, we're here all day. It should at least be somewhat close. I mean, and then it was fine from there on. I mean, I guess maybe they were like, oh, geez, helicopter dad, but
one of these dads.
But we tried to be nice about it, but it was kind of like, what the hell? I mean, 2 minutes, like, seriously, it was pretty ridiculous.
Well, and I think, because I do think coaches get caught up and they don't pay attention, right? Like, they might not know.
And to their defense, that could have easily,
she could be quiet, right?
Yeah, and she doesn't. Lucy's not going to say anything, so I totally understand how it could happen. It was just, that was my concern, and so I brought it up. But I did talk about it once, so I can't say I've never talked about playing time.
Yeah, well, I'm sure we all have. Well, we all have done it behind the coach's back, which is where I usually do my talking because it's easier. Nobody can hear me. But, at the end of the day, once you get into the higher levels, and it says on our tryouts, by the way, did you sign up for tryouts? Yeah. Oh, God. You're usually the last guy to sign up for anything.
I know.
Thought you were my partner in this. I'd be like, well, Jeremy didn't do it yet.
No, I haven't signed. I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't.
Oh, I thought you said you did.
No.
Oh, I think
no,
Eric's
I haven't.
Watching.
Trust me.
We're gonna, Eric, because I got a call from Coach Shant, his director of coaching from the Appleton campus, about something else, and he's like, I see Macy's not signed up yet. And I'm like, kind of holding out for a little more NIL money. And he's like, well, that ain't happening. Get signed up. And I'm like, ooh, I forgot to.
Yeah.
So Macy and Amelia.
Yeah, I need to.
Right? Okay.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's back. I really do like, and I want to just say kudos to the club. I really love the fact that they got us some kind of partnership with ECNL, because as much as we don't want to admit it, ECNL, if you really want to play at a top level, is kind of your gateway. So I'm really pleased that they got access to at least tournaments and some ability to kind of cross over there. It may not be a big deal, but I appreciate the gesture and that they're trying. So
I forgot to put that on the Facebook because that was going to be breaking news. A club, but now we'll talk about it.
Go for it.
Since we're here,
there's your lead in.
So our club, so a lot of we lose top players. It's just the way that clubs work. And we lose some very good players, not top players, I shouldn't say that, some very good players to Milwaukee, because there's some teams that there's GA, Girls Academy, there's ECNL, which stands for something. And, we're in USYS. So we're in the E64, which is a big jump for us to get into that. What happens is then the E64 teams want out of that. They want the GA, and then everybody wants to go to ECNL. And for some reason, the coaches of colleges love the ECNL train. I don't know if they're paid. I don't know how it got to it, but they Elite Club National League ECNL. Oh, no doubt. There you have it.
There we go.
So you look at these showcases like the Dallas or the Texas showcase last year, and there was something like 250 college coaches there. Like it was impressive.
It
And
is.
as we flew to Tampa and then we flew to Orlando or vice versa, I don't even know if a coach saw us play. So that was disheartening. And I think our club,
Yeah.
Eric being our director, looked at that and said, it's not a very good deal for our families to do this. So we had an arrangement last year, I know, with Iowa. We played in each other's tournaments. By the way, that's where our broadcast started, down in the great state of Iowa. So they're an ECNL club. So we, I guess, can register with them or under FC United. And then we can attend the ECNL if it's RL. I don't know any of that, but we get to go to these showcases and go be seen, which is fantastic, especially for our age group.
Yeah.
We're getting into the hotbed of our time. And if our kids want to go and play college ball, whether at D1, D2, D3, JUCO, wherever, this is where you need to go. And so that's the exciting point. We don't need to transfer out of our club and drive to Milwaukee 3 nights a week, fly to Virginia to play a weekend of ECNL. We can do what we do. And then, so we get the cake and eat it too, is the way I like to say it.
Totally agree. And I think that's one of the cool things about it. So I'm really excited about it. Again, I don't know what it means totally. Like, is it really going to be that big of a difference? Maybe it won't, but I think at least it opens a doorway potentially to some other items that could be really beneficial. So I'm glad the club's doing it. It won't officially take place like us being in ECNL until we're already done, but that's okay. I like it.
At the end of the day, you got to go where they are, and I think this gives us that pathway. So I think it's a fantastic thing for our club. Our club can market it. Our club can get on top of this, and I think girls that are leaving our club or boys that are going to Milwaukee, I think the parents are going to say, well, why? Why are we doing all this when we can be staying within region and then getting seen? So I'm excited, really excited. So,
yeah, no, I think it's an excellent thing. So it's going to be pretty good for the whole crew.
Yeah. So that was breaking news. We just found that out. So congratulations to Eric and our staff for putting that together, because that's a pretty cool thing. So,
yeah.
Now back to our list. I got to pull this up here. Boop. All right. We're going to say this, and we're going to talk fast to get through this, but Kimberly's act of kindness. This is something we've never heard of. Very unheard of. But I got to be honest, it comes from the track and field stands. Evidently, their track and field people are great. They must be Kimberly 0.02 or something, because it is an act of kindness, and and I read this, and the first thing I said was, you got to be kidding me. Like, come on. Like, really, Kimberly? Like, there's no way. Sure enough, we get out the little story. Everybody can get their warm and fuzzies. Kaukauna High School out of the Valley was awarded the FVA boys track and field title due to a correctable scoring error. I don't know how they score track and field, but evidently there was an error, and one of the schools stepped up. So Kimberly was on its way to winning their 8th consecutive boys championship by a half point over Kaukauna. First off, 8 in a row. Like, come on. They're cheating. I know it.
I mean, Spash is 12, but that's okay.
Oh,
I mean,
maybe they're not cheating. Maybe they're just not as good as Spash. Boom.
That's right.
Spash track and field shirt. Tight though. So
we're the reigning state champs, but hey, that's okay. Right.
Is Spash D1 like Kimberly?
Oh, yes.
Oh, really? So, let's just pause.
Yeah.
All right, that's great.
Anyway,
but I'll give Kimberly this. The Kimberly coaches discovered that a scoring tiebreaker in the long jump was not applied in a display, it says, of outstanding sportsmanship, we're going to cut that out. And in a display of
Pump the brakes.
sportsmanship, right, they alerted the meet officials. So
Okay.
the cynic in me says, well, they probably knew they were going to get caught. So they got on front of it. But the good guy in me is like, that is very impressive. But I will give it to Kimberly, right?
Yes.
Because it's hard to look 140 track kids in the face and be like, we're going to give ourselves up. It's
right.
It reminds me of that really bad commercial where the kids are playing basketball and the ball goes off them, and then they go in their huddle and the coach goes, "It was off me, coach." And he's like, "Well, go tell them." Nobody does that. You fake it, right? Like,
right.
I don't know. So congrats to Kimberly. They did the right thing. And congrats to Kakana. Kakana was the original winner, if everything counts. So 8 consecutive is now 0. That's okay. They'll be back. Tough road back. But I thought I wanted to give a shout out to Kimberly for being on top. Well, second place.
And I will say that's very big of you.
Right? It took me a day and a half to get the courage to say that.
Considering how much you enjoy Kimberly's failures, I do give you credit for bringing it up. But yes, it is a good sign of sportsmanship from them. So kudos to Kimberly for, doing the right thing here. And yeah, the points thing with track is really interesting. You get a certain amount of points for how you place and how you do in each event. And then all the points are all kind of added up. So it can be kind of convoluted in defense of the scorekeepers. There's a lot happening and a lot of events are happening at the same time, and results are coming in, and so I could see how that could happen. I'm actually kind of surprised it doesn't happen more, just because I
would think
the
you have to
there's
work
a lot of stuff happening. Yes, and it is. I mean, you've got multiple. You probably got 10, sometimes 5 to 10 events coming in at one time, and you got all kinds of results and scores, and I could see how it could definitely happen. So.
Oh, our resident Kimberly fan just said, well, at least the girls took first.
Right.
I was really hoping they would.
Yes, we were all. I was hoping. We were all very relieved to hear that.
Right. So happy for you. And here,
seriously,
Greg,
good job, girls.
Yeah. And congrats to the girls, right? I mean, the boys took second, but congrats to the girls for first place. But I was very impressed with Kimberly because in today's world, I don't think I think somebody eats that, right? 2 guys are sitting in an office. Like, do you think we should tell? Like, there's no. So good for them.
I would not be surprised. Yeah. Because something like that could easily get missed. I mean, what they say, he went from he was 4th, he got placed 4th or something and should have been 2nd or whatever. Something like that could easily get looked over from the Kakana's coach. I mean, they just might not realize in the grand scheme of all the things happening that was misplaced. So I do give them credit. They probably could have gotten away with it, and good for them. I mean, if you want to talk about it, look at that basketball game out in, what was it, Rhode Island or New Jersey or whatever, where there was video evidence of the dude shot it after the buzzer and they made it and then they granted it. In my opinion, the team that won that shouldn't have won should have been like, yeah, we're going to abdicate to the other team, because there was clear evidence.
And it was to go to like the sectionals, and the guy called it no shot, right? And then they huddled him,
and then they overruled it. Yes,
and I'm like, ooh, and then like it wasn't close either.
It wasn't, and if I'm that team that advanced, I don't know. I almost say, hey, we're going to forfeit. You guys take it and move on, because that would have been the right thing, but that did not happen, as I understand it.
Did your daughter register for tryouts?
Yes.
Are you kidding me? You rat.
Hey, get it done. Boom, done.
Did you get your hotel room for Kansas City yet?
I did. I actually did do that. Yes.
Me too. That was more important than we haven't even, how about we win regionals before we just be signing up and stuff? Fine. Eric, it'll be done tomorrow. Can't believe you did that while we're live. That's so wrong.
Hey,
so great.
You reminded me. To be fair, I did tell Sarah we were going to get that done shortly, and I forgot about it. So
No.
yeah.
You know, and our last topic that I was
God.
reading on was the WIAA, and I did put it's at it again, and I never blame the WIAA like everybody does because Steph Hauser's a fan of the show, and she came on and said,
Yes.
"Listen, these are rules voted on by the ADs of our high schools, and so they're just the governing body of this." But there's a young man. Let me pull up my trusty photo.
Yes, he's got a
What
fun
was his
name.
Josh
Onwanili.
Onwanili. So
Onwanili.
he is from Campbell Sport, track star, like I guess a really good track star. And he is appealing a WIA decision that deemed him ineligible to compete because his parents are missionaries and live in Ghana, Africa. A couple things I just thought of, right? Like Campbell Sport is not the Mecca, right? Like if he shows up at Kimberly out of the blue off a bus, I think someone's like, hey, wait a second here. This is cheating. But Campbell Sport doesn't strike me as a Division I program that's recruiting from Ghana. So what you read a little bit on it too. You said that there was an appeal.
Yeah, it sounds like there was an appeal, and I'm with you. It just doesn't seem like there's anything fishy going on. And the thing that I mentioned to you when we chatted about it was, I don't know what the difference is. Like, why does it matter if his parents are missionaries in Ghana? Like, I don't understand why them being in Ghana would make him ineligible. Because, I mean, for example, we have a foreign exchange player playing on our team. Her parents live in Germany, right? They don't live here. She's here as a foreign exchange student. I don't know what the difference is. Like, honestly, I guess unless there's some kind of, the only thing I can think of from the WIA perspective is he is not able to prove his background, which a foreign exchange student does come with a background, and you can verify here's where they went to school, this is their age, this is their level. Whereas my guess is there's something missing in his paperwork. That would be my assumption. And that's the only thing that makes sense.
There's got to be, right? But I'll be honest, if next year John Boonawali is running at Kimberly, I'm red flagging this thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But if he's
let's be real. Anybody talented,
we're going to walk through it. Yeah.
Right. Anybody talented shows up at Kimberly, we're asking questions.
Every time.
But, or Notre Dame.
And they're oh yeah, Notre Dame. Let's not even start on that. And there was out of Milwaukee, TMJ4 was running the story, and I didn't get a chance to watch. So I'm going to be interested to read up a little bit on this and see what Josh Onwanili's outcome. But what's crazy is usually the WIA sticks to the rule, because remember all the lawsuits, like the kid can't play football and they sue, and then the law, like the WIA wins all these. So I'm with you. There's got to be a reason. It's just not that they hate missionaries. There's a reason that he's unable to play. God, I hope they don't hate missionaries.
Yeah, there's got to be. I hope not. It's too bad too, because it sounds like he's a tremendous athlete. It sounds like he might even have a potential state record time. So you'd love to see him compete if everything's on the up and up. And it doesn't sound like they're trying to do anything odd. It's just maybe that they don't have the right paperwork to be able to allow this to happen. So hopefully he can get it figured out. It sounds like the article that we read was published yesterday, and they were trying to figure stuff out by today or maybe tomorrow so that he could potentially get into the tournament. So hopefully for him, fingers crossed, he can still do that and maybe be able to compete at the state level.
Yeah, you said his mom's flying home or coming back soon.
It sounded like in the article they said his mom was coming back today, and then they were going to try to get this resolved because up to this point they haven't been able to. So hopefully for his sake, they are able to, because yeah, it sounds like he's got a pretty cool chance to maybe break a record.
And some colleges, there's colleges already after him, right? I mean, they don't care about paperwork in college. Yeah, they like missionaries.
Yeah, I think what they're projecting, he might be like a 10-3 100, which is pretty dang good. But I will say it's, you look at schools like down in Texas, and he'd be in the middle of the pack. We're just not quite.
Where's that rank in Spash? Let's say he shows up at Spash's door. What does 10-3 get you?
Oh, he'd be our best runner by far.
Oh, really? Okay.
Sprinter.
He's that.
Oh, what a sprinter! Yeah, he'd be good. Even last year we had a good sprinter. He'd be our best sprinter.
I wonder what I could do the 100 in.
He'd be really good.
I got a feeling it'd be more than 10-4. Probably more than 12. Maybe. Probably. Maybe 15.
Probably.
We're not going to try. I'm brittle. I'm 50. I'm 50. I can't be running. I get hurt.
Actually, I can't remember what Amelia ran it in this spring. She ran the 100. Because did I tell you that Amelia ran track a little bit? She did a little bit of track. So she did the 100. And she was, I can't remember what her time was. I want to say it was 13.6, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. It was something like that. She came in second on the team or whatever. So I don't remember.
Amelia's sneaky fast.
But she never practiced. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good for.
Yeah, fine.
Sneaky fast.
Practice is overrated. But she is sneaky fast. Like you could watch her last Saturday on the field, and she kind of first gear, second gear, and she was at the 50, and then she dropped the hammer, and she was gone. I mean, by the time she hit the 30, she had a 7-yard lead. That's impressive. That would be fun.
Well, the thing that I was impressed with her is she did it with the ball. That's always tougher to do when you have with the ball. So yeah, she can be kind of sneaky fast. The thing that drives me bonkers with her is sometimes she doesn't give it her all. Sometimes it's like she'll see it, and then when she sees that she has an opportunity, then she'll go full speed. It's like, I just wish she'd play full speed more frequently. Let's put it that way. So
yeah, we'll
work on that.
I didn't have a top speed or a full speed. I don't think I had many speed. That's why I like first base.
You didn't drop the hammers?
Never. I like first base, to be honest with you, because when you got the first base dugout, it's a very short run. And you're home.
I was always more fan of home, but
home catcher?
I love who didn't love scoring, getting around.
Oh, I'm talking defense.
Defense.
Every inning you got to run out there with your glove. The glove's heavy. I love baseball. Baseball's still my passion. Scoring's fun. Brewers 10 runs today. Not bad.
Really? I went to because we didn't have a game last night. I went to my first high school game of this season for Spash. Spash is 21-0 right now.
Seriously?
So,
holy
buckets! What is their baseball?
They got to be ranked top 5.
I think they might be 5. Our softball team was 3, and then they lost. But baseball, I'll look it up here. I can't remember. I don't think we're super crazy high, but I want to say we're like 5.
Spash turning into the new Kimberly? I mean, are you guys kind of starting to rock some stuff? Oh, don't know me.
No, softball is always
the best track and field.
No, we're
softball, baseball.
We're a running and softball baseball school. That's kind of like softball specifically. Like we're running and softball, and then sometimes baseball is good and right up there. That's kind of.
Why do you think softball is always good? Do you think you have a really good youth program over there?
Tom Droner. That's why. I mean, this is a testament to he's been doing it for 20-some plus years, and he has a great youth program, lots of camps, and he churns out young players, and he gets them excited about the game, and then they do really well in the program. I mean, nothing against Pacelli, our local parochial school, but they won state last year, and part of the reason for that is because of some of the things that he does in the youth program. Those kids grow up and go to Pacelli, so he doesn't even get all his own players, but Tom Droner is a really excellent coach, and he's a big reason why we're good at softball and have been for the last 20 years.
Don't talk too highly of him. He might get recruited out of the valley down here. There might be a school that offers him some big money. Kimberly.
I hope not. He did just sell his
Right.
house, so I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't leave. That'd be bad.
You might want to lock him up.
But yeah, we're fifth. Baseball is fifth right now. So
Well, Bayport jumped back in the top 10. Number 9.
did they?
Bayport girls soccer. Yeah, Division 1 soccer.
Oh yes. Oh yes, soccer. Yes, they did. I was gonna say I don't
Yeah,
see Bayport
sorry.
boys here for
No.
baseball. But yes, yeah, good job getting into 9th. I'd like to think that your dominating win over us. They were like, wow, the Stevens Point up and coming team, and you guys just took it to them.
Right.
That we helped in
Right.
that.
Yeah. Max from the Bayport Lacrosse is asking if Bayport pays coaches. They pay a lot of coaches, just not some. So I'm sorry, buddy. But I heard you won conference, which we talked about. Maybe next
We
year's the
did.
year you're going to start inking that check.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Another referendum. I tell you, this town loves referendums. But it's
Who
paying
doesn't?
off. We have great schools, right? But
Maybe.
but we got through our list. I think it was a good show. Next, in 2 weeks, we're back. I am emailing with the Northern Michigan women's head coach, John Sandoval, who Eric knows. So I'm trying
Nice.
to use that contact there to, and actually one of our Bayport players has an interest in NMU. So I was hoping to help recruit some of our players, see if we can get some Division II athletes up in one of the great cities of our day, Marquette, Michigan.
Hey, there you go. That'd be good.
Yeah.
I
So,
like it.
We're working on
And
it.
in 2 weeks, in 2 weeks, I might be done with school.
15, 22,
about-
3. That's crazy.
Yes, I know. Isn't that nuts? It's about then. I think we'll be in our last week of school. And by the way, today is 1 month out from the 2026 being able to be recruited. So all you 2026 birth years or graduation years, it's 1 month today till you start
Get your
getting the
emails
ability
ready.
to be recruited. Well, you probably should have sent them by now, but but
Well,
yes, send them out.
but now it gets hot and heavy, right? So we've been downplaying that,
Correct.
to be honest with you, because you just don't want it on the 16th of June and like you hit your inbox, send and receive, and it just you've got zero mail, and you're
Nothing.
like, oh no, which takes time, right? It's not just as mass.
Yeah.
It could be. I'm sure it happens.
I have prepared Amelia that it might be a while before you hear anything. So don't get too
Right.
disheartened.
Like the FedEx truck isn't going to show up with hats. Like, well, please come to here. Like, unless I do it, maybe I'll just go to the lid store and buy all these hats.
That'd be really nice. It'd be a mean prank
Yeah.
to play. It's like make a
Oh,
fake
it'd be
letter
terrible.
and send. That would be rude. Don't do that,
I
parents.
should do that, but I should do that from get a Notre Dame envelope,
Put it on TikTok.
Fighting Irish, and then put a letter in that just says, "We would love to recruit you, Mr. Toby Brostow." Just watch the
my
horror in her eyes. Never do it. Nope.
Don't
Nope,
do
I'd be
that.
disbarred. So that is exciting
that would
news
not be
too.
good.
1 month, I forgot all about that. So, and then we're
Yeah.
5 weeks from Kansas City for our club season.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun. I can't wait. I think that's actually gonna be a good time. We were talking about how that whole trip and how we're gonna organize it and get out there, and it should be a good time. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm driving, so we'll catch you on the roadways.
Ooh, maybe I should just ride back with you.
Well, me and Joe are driving. If you want in, you want to talk about good time, we're going to take a week.
Oof. Oh boy.
Well, we're going
I'll
to stay
have to talk
in
to the wife
Madison.
about that because the wife is coming
Yeah.
from the wife is coming from Indianapolis, so she's going out with the girls to see Caitlin Clark play at the Fever, and then she's driving like that day over to Kansas City after the game. The next day they're driving to Kansas City. So yeah, so we're trying to figure out like, are we going to take 2 cars or what are we going to do? So I'll let you know.
Yeah, because our wives and kids are flying because God willing, you can't be, doing that. And me and Joe are like, it was
Right.
it was really expensive to rent a car. And so we're like,
Mhm.
what if we drive? We'll have a good time. It's only 10 hours, whether we do it all in one day or we take a night on the way down, we'll find a city and we'll do a dinner and have some beers, but let us know. That'd be fun.
Yeah,
Just
I
three
will.
guys in a car.
That would be fun.
Road tripping.
Get
some beef jerky.
Cannonball.
Right?
I love it.
67 miles an hour, ripping down the highway. Don't want to get a speeding ticket because I'm old.
I love it.
So, all right, talk to your wife.
All right, that
She's a good.
sounds like a plan.
Parent. Indiana
She's
Fever. That's
way
awesome.
too good at this.
Right?
Yeah, she's she makes me look bad, and it's kind of frustrating, but it is what it is.
It's hard to do, buddy. It's hard to do.
All right. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Hey, thanks to everybody for chiming in. It was a good conversation and nice comments. We'll be back in those weeks.
One thing, quickly, if you're out there and you listen to this podcast, you get all the way to the end. First off, thank you. Second, I think it'd be fun if people
That's amazing.
Right. But we'll bring this up in the first time. But I thought it'd be fun if tag our Facebook page and put, like, if your kid does something great, like, none of us brag about our kids, right? We're always talking about the other kids. Like, if Amelia scores, you're probably like, well, number 8 had a really nice pass. Well, you know what? If you want to brag about your kids, send the video, say something great, talk about your kid. Like, break them up. Like, that's the fun of being a parent. Any sport, right? I don't care if they're swimming. They're dominating swimming. Send a video of your kid winning conference. That's awesome. This Facebook page and podcast about youth sports, so let's start to celebrate our own. So I just kind of thought about that. I thought that'd be fun to do.
I like that. And if it's something like curling, please explain it.
Right. Or hurling. So give a context of what we're watching.
Because we may not know what we're watching.
But we'll celebrate. Maybe we'll do the athlete of the week. So, all right, that's enough.
Hey, that's a good one. I like that. That's a great idea. Look at you, Toes.
Look at this. Just, you know what I drink at dinner? Water. Hello. Clear as a bell.
Whoa.
Right. Whoa.
All right, man. Well, hey, good luck tomorrow night. And we'll talk to you in a little bit.
You too. You too. Beat
Hey, thank you.
Everest. Yeah. All right.
Yes. All right.